Hey everyone, Achikah here, and it's finally time to announce the winners of Base of Hasty Hideouts. We had 15 absolutely wonderful bases across varying different decorating styles, and they were all just absolutely amazing. I cannot thank you guys enough for your entries. I was not expecting that many entries, especially after taking a prolonged break, so for you guys to show up and just have absolutely incredible bases, it was a really fun experience and probably one of the hardest base-offs to judge. And I say that a lot, I know, but this one I definitely could have had a top five easily, let alone probably a top eight, because they're just, I think, I really think that hideouts are one of my favorite bases in the game because of how you can decorate them. You can decorate right up to the door, and the space limitations that we usually have to face with, like, bases like the 700 spots really don't mean anything in a hideout theme. You can get as detailed and as or like ornate as you want, as opulent with space and items, and it's really great. And to see what you guys did with them, like, is it was really amazing. And I had, like I said, a really rough time judging. So we'll get into the judging, but again, I just want to say thank you again to all the entries, everybody who came out for the stream. It was so much fun. Everybody who watched the VODs and supported from afar. I love Base Off, and thank you for letting me make Base Off happen. It's very, very fun. So, okay, judging wise, like I said, this was a close race, but there are five main pillars that I judge for Base Off, just for a review here, and then also there's a special sixth one for this one as well. So the five main ones are creativity, how creative you get, craftsmanship, how well the base is put together, logic, how well does your base like make sense, like both in the narrative standpoint that you're going for, or aesthetically, and just like in a, like connect the dots kind of way. Storytelling, that's if you had a narrative to your base, and again, it's both like for aesthetic or just if you actually had like a lore based thing in your base. Storytelling could be either. It's kind of, again, a connecting the dots kind of thing, but in a different way, more in a like a story driven way and less of a like logical spatial kind of way. If that makes sense. And then aesthetics, of course, which is just the design aspect and how your base is put together, like from a visual standpoint, by pure aesthetics. And then for this one, we had a sixth one, which is how well you utilize the hideout theme that you chose, and how that like worked into it. And also this like surprised me also in a way, because I was just thinking like, oh, how well like a space or a volcano or a dive like reflect in your initial design of your base. Um, but also working with the bases too ended up being like a thing that I took into consideration, because like there's some areas in all three of the bases that are just a really pain to work with, and like some of you guys really delivered on both masking and working with the space in really interesting ways, and I thought that was really cool. So that's kind of like the sixth criteria. So that's how I judged. Like I said before, this was a hard one. I could have easily had a top five. There were like eight bases that were like going back and forth. Um, Throughout most of the competition. Like, all of them were extremely close. Like, all of them, I think this is the highest scoring base off I've ever held. I think everybody was like over like like it was a lot of points. Like, everybody scored a lot of points in this base off. Which is awesome, and also I think it speaks to how awesome hideouts are in the game. And well, I mean, maybe it's just how much I love hideouts. I don't know. It is my contest, and though I am extremely unbiased when I do judge, I definitely like hideouts a lot. Since they were all hideouts, I could kind of, let that one kind of go. Yeah, this is definitely the highest scoring competition, and the top eight were battling back and forth very, very harshly. Like, it took a lot of run throughs to get to my top three, which was painstakingly done. But finally, a couple pulled away, and those are going to be your winners. So I just want to say shout out to just everybody, because your bases were just amazing. I can't stress that enough. And this was a very this was a very rigid competition. So again, thank you guys for showing up and making amazing things. Um, Okay, so let's just get into it. We're gonna get into our third base, and our third base was one that I really enjoyed it, but also I was just kind of in awe of some of the things that were done in that base, and that base is Frosty Foyer by Amused. So I thought that this base was absolutely gorgeous. Like when you walk in, it has that regalness to it because it's just like a single room, and because there's no pillars in the space base, right? It was a space base. You could get that long shot all the way up the stairs, all the way to the back of the space base. And instead of having the space window, Amuse like encrusted it with ice, so it had like these beautiful like icicle decorations and various different like linear fashions and like design. But one thing that I really loved about this base is the fact of how immersive it was and how difficult that immersion is with the space base. So, like, if you guys don't know, or if you haven't worked with a space or a volcano base, there are these, like, very bulbous, like, architectural structures that you cannot place any kind of item on. Any kind of hitbox that gets close to them is ridiculously hard to work with. And it makes for, like, a kind of a jarring experience unless you have very specific items to use for a hitbox. And Amuse found a really cool way around that by using the new Sunstone decorations in very like diagonal fashion to mask the pillars, or using like ice sheet walls too. And that's just not on top of like all the very beautiful like design aspects of the space. The Xamarin crystals, the use of the icy thrones for the walling, the legion symbols on the floor to make these beautiful like golden leaf like stepping stones to go up to the ice. Like it's just a really pretty well like thought out base. And then that's not even including like all the amalgamations of like the tech aspects and the light usage and the doors that were made with the handles that were the artifact chalices. It's just a beautiful base. I can't wait to get into it, and I will for the tour more in depth. But yeah, that is the third place winner. So congratulations, Amused. I absolutely loved your base. So thank you so much for coming out and sharing it with us. So that is your third place winner. For second place, we have Achikah the Muse with Volcano Comics. So this one was such an absolutely wonderful base. It starts out in a very small comic shop, and I don't know what kind of comic book shops you guys go to, but I know that like my hometown and my current comic book shops, like growing up and both like now, they are like very jam-packed little businesses kind of, where they're just like stacks of comics and boxes. So the very like claustrophobic feel when you walk in is, I felt very true to real life, but also I felt like it's very like hideout too. Like it very much screams like hideout levels of like I feel like compactness, you kind of get that claustrophobia. But that's kind of what you want, because as the base goes on, you get into like the underground or secret laboratory facility and the doors to the hub and everything. Like it is just chaos incarnate, and it really like just works well with the dive theme too, because again, it's like I know this is probably just my own comic book shop, but a lot of comic book shops that I've been to have just been like little holes in the wall. So like going for a dive theme too just seemed like very, very apt in that department. But also the conveyor belt, the use of all the venom things, the double catwalk, which was really cool. Like so, there's a stair mask and then there's another stair, which is like crazy. And then, like I said, it's just like a really well thought out base. It is absolutely claustrophobic and jarring, but like in the right way, like where it needed to be in this space. And I thought it was just a really wonderful base. And we'll get more into that too in the coming days as we see the showcase. But yeah, so that is your second place winner, which was Achikah the Muse. Okay, and then for our final, our placing, our first prize winner, this one I absolutely love some of the things that was done in this base. I thought it was so unique and just really incredible. And that was Jade Rebel, and it was the Renegade. That is your grand prize winner, because it's a space base that I thought was really, really amazing. The airlock in the use of the depth of field there for having the different planets there to make it seem like there was like space and like asteroid belts like like around, like, you know what I mean, like it's just that was incredible on its own. But to use the diesel engine and not only just like use it for the staircase, but like on one side you had the reactor, the diesel generator was being used kind of as a diesel generator, but more of like a reactor to keep the ship powered. But on the opposite side you had the catwalk and the ladder that was still showing, and only that. The rest of it was like masked with like these lovely woods and bronze like accents to go with this library that was there. But to then have like a catwalk library in like the study room, like the chill area, it was just that in itself was amazing. But then you had the Kyber crystal cabinet, the Datachrome area, the library area, and then the bridge was just absolutely stunning. It was such a great use of the space base. I've seen a few spaceships before, and I love all of them, and this one is no different. Also, like the use of the Legion of Doom tables in there, it was just, there were so many amazing clips, and just the way the base was like laid out to feel like an actual starship while like venturing into the voids of space. I thought it both really uplifted the idea of a space base, but also had just such amazing item usage and use of space that was just absolutely incredible. So that is your grand prize winner for Base Off Hasty Hideouts. Again, this one was so hard to judge because, like I said, there were so many of you that had amazing bases, and I really wish I had a top 5 or even a top 8 at this point, because like I said, there were a lot of bases that were fighting it out for top spots. So I cannot stress enough, thank you so much for your absolutely wonderful entries, and congratulations to all the winners as well. If you guys are going to tear down any of your bases, please let me know. I will film them in advance. If you guys can give me like a week, I'll get them all filmed for the backlog, so that way they're archived if you want to show them for a personal showcase later on, and I can always film them, like, I'll show them when I'm having a rough week or taking a vacation or something like that, so I always have something filmed on the backlog. But yeah, other than that, I think that's about it. So again, thank you so much to everybody who makes Base Off possible. Congratulations to all our winners. Thank you to all of our contestants. I will be giving your prizes out as the days go on, so be on the lookout for that. And stay tuned next Friday, because I took a week off for judging. Stay tuned for the next installment of Base Off, which should come next Friday, so be on the lookout for that. That's exciting too. But yeah, again, thank you so much to everybody who makes Base Off possible. And congratulations to all our winners. And yeah, I think that's about it. So until the next one, guys, take care.